Sandscale Haws, a home on the sand. In one palm the water, in one palm the land. Water flows Duddon where fells fall in steps, from mountains to shallows, the gills and the becks. Sand that whips and hisses, turbines, boats and black huts, dot the dots of dune slacks, wintergreen, rust. Engines only ghosts now. The empty guns are stilled. Brick by brick we dug it out, and grain by grain it fills. Witch's hat and natterjack, kestrel and cinnabar, fork moss and stinkhorn, cat shark, skimmer. To walk the sea in weather, the turns of Sandscale Haws, freed in shells and feathers, upon the teeming shore.
It might be 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Oh, here we are. There's one. It's not in flower, but it's just normal name is green flowered helleborine. People used to say to me, how can you be there for hours? Just spend all day. Bring sandwiches. But I would say literally, not every single day, but most days, even if it's only for 2 hours after work. The reason's just being here. So I've got lady's bed straw, bird's foot trefoil. This lovely pink one is called rest harrow. Pretty. I did see some wild thyme before, but I first came here many years ago. I think it's probably a place of 2 halves, isn't it? You've got immense beauty all around the edges, and then a working town, and that's what it is. But the outskirts, you get many people coming and say, I didn't realise how beautiful it was. It's absolutely stunning, isn't it? Who knew that this was here? It needs looking after, yeah. Well, if you're going back to the mindfulness thing, just a release into nature, because if you keep building and building and building, where are you going to go?
Sandscale Haws, where your thoughts blow away on the wind, swept across the sands to the Lakeland Fells, light, then dark, then back to light again. Black Coombe, Whitfell, Dow Crag, Coniston Old Man. Haws means hill in Old Norse. For most, this is Roned, a few miles out of Barrow. Dog walking days, childhood memories, a patch of wild and a place to escape, a triple SI and a national nature reserve, a place to protect, a home on the sand. Brickworks, cellophane factories, mine shafts. Old industry surrounds the sands and new development creeps in. A constant threat to a fragile island of abundance. Remnants of war, bombing decoys built to steer nighttime raids away from the shipyards in Barrow. Ahead, the dunes of Walney Island and the wind turbines spinning out at sea, keeping the west coast lit up. Storm winds, shells like windbreaks with sand banked behind. dunes shaped by storm, tides and wind. Birds call. Lines of black beaded natterjack spawn fall to the floor of the pools, and so it continues, the cycle.
It's great because it's a test, but it doesn't really impact the fruit and why it's there. You should be able to make it.
These habitats are really, really important, but only found in this state in very young sand dune systems. So this habitat's really quite rare. One of the reasons why Sandscale was designated as a treble SI and an NNR is because of its floristic diversity. So we have 600 flowering plant species here. So around about 1/3 of the sort of all plant species found in the UK. So incredibly diverse. We are able to keep it in this state and manage it in this state by our fairy friends over there. We can just about make them out as if on cue. So we have about 80 head of cattle out here all year round, and at certain times of the year about 200 sheep. So they're continually, basically, for want of a better word, mowing this for us to keep this sort of habitat in the condition that it's in, and hopefully to improve it as well. So in the 1940s, we had around about 60% burst sand. By early noughties, it was down to 2%. And burst sand's really critical for natterjack toad and for a suite of sort of species that love that really early successional stage of habitat.
Faster than the tide, the people ebb and flow, to watch the waves and think of nothing. Summer days with a picnic, sandcastles and moats, feathers for castle flags and shells for a door, family photos on the beach. Generations have done the same. Lousy Point, washed up boats and lapwing cries. Sandscale means temporary hut on the sand in Old Norse. Built in the 1940s, the black huts sit low in the dunes, passed down through families, added to with doors and windows, extensions and windmills, flaking paint and driftwood decorations. A home on the sand. Sands wash in, sands wash out. The beach and dunes are part of a dynamic system, constantly changing. With change comes opportunity for scarce and specialist plants and rare animal species. People travel from far and wide. They'll cross borders to see the coral route. Against all odds, nature returns each season to find its home on the sand.
I imagine they were somewhere over there, the children. Well, these are my grandchildren who are now in their 30s, so I reckon that was about the year 2000. All of this, which is now grass and flowers, was actually sand then. And behind me, these trees weren't there at all. In fact, they've grown so much now that we've had to trim some of them further along. It changes all the time. My grandchildren, who are now in their 30s, I used to bring them when they were little. So I knew about it, and then my partner died. He was very into nature, and particularly birds. So I thought, what can I do that, you know, kind of honours that? I used to have rituals of what I had to do every morning. Quite often this would be part of the ritual, just come for a little while here. If he'd have known about the volunteering, he'd have wanted to do it, you know. So it is a way of keeping him there. It's different in every season, and you know, it's just as wonderful when the weather's wild as it is when all the flowers are in bloom, and you know. If we're not careful, places like this could disappear, and I don't want to pass that legacy on to my great-grandchildren. You make of it what you give to it and what you take from it. People need somewhere to go to get away from the built-up, and this is the place.